Welcome, guys. Here's another big one, possibly the biggest one if you are someone who follows Smogon. We've got ourselves McMeghan, aka Roro, against ABR, and I am here to bring it to you live. Game one in a best of three, and this is in a winner's bracket, so this very well may have far-reaching implications on who ends up winning or going deep in this tour, and it is a bad start for ABR on the top, missing Toxic on Zapdos, which these days usually don't carry rest, so that probably would have kept him on for the whole entire rest of the game, and he eats a Thunderbolt. 53% may or may not live another. But of course, there's the possibility that ABR simply goes for Explosion here, so Roro's got to be aware of that and possibly play around that. Tricky turn right out the gate, and both of them already using the time. These guys have absolutely played against each other at various points throughout their Pokemon career. ABR stated in the chat room, which you guys should join, by the way, there'll be a link in the description, that he considers Roro to be his biggest competitive Pokemon rival. They definitely know each other. They definitely respect each other. They've played against each other for various tours. This is going to be a good one. ABR seems to have a physical offense or a mixed offense here, a little bit of boom spam action going on. The fact that it has curse does not mean that it doesn't have boom. That's often used as a bait set to disguise, oh, hey, I'm curse Reslax. But actually it has self-destruct in the back, and also +1 boom takes out crucial targets such as Tyranitar and Skarmory, so there's actually a lot of incentive to do it. And ABR are going to pull it back. Unclear what Roro has here. Might be like a utility team. Might have things like Starmie, T-Tar, Dugtrio, those kind of things in the back. Just kind of a I can answer your threats kind of team, which Roro is very fond of. He's known as a very defensive, safe player, in my opinion, sometimes too much so. But that might be what we're looking at here. ABR, on the other hand, has been a lot more willing to be flexible, change things up, bring some weird stuff. ABR throughout this tour has busted out lead Smeargle. He's brought Double Veil. We saw him bring Calm Mind Spam last year. I mean, he's very flexible in ADV. He could pilot a number of different archetypes. He will bring whatever he thinks wins. And ABR, as you guys may have seen recently, was the Smogon Classic finalist, so obviously has to be pretty knowledgeable about ADV and just old gens in general in order to go that far in such a big tournament. Celebi here has Leech Seeded and gone for Psychic. That was probably the boom turn for ABR if he's staying in. He goes Shadow Ball. Maybe it really truly is a cursed Reslax, but I'm still unconvinced. It very well still may have boom, and indeed it does. I never fully believed that it wouldn't, and I kind of sniffed it out the whole way. Roro may be skeptical about it, or he doesn't think his Celebi is that valuable, but that does end up what gets blown up on, and we now have a 5-5 with 4 unrevealeds for both guys. Meta on Zap, which is the lead matchup. Meta should be out of range of a Thunderbolt. It did 53%, I think, last time. Let me just scroll up here. Yeah, 53 last time. So at 59, you would think that he's safe. Here's some deviation. I'm surprised that he lets that eat a Toxic. He obviously anticipated something other than Toxic on that turn. But Roro is going to bust out an Umbreon, actually, which I feel like I called that out relatively recently, too. I feel like in one of my more recent narrations, no clue who it was, I don't remember, but I feel like I saw somebody else use an Umbreon recently as well. It's going to go for Mean Look here, trapping Magneton. He's now going to BP. This might be a huge problem. The game could actually be over here, depending on what gets passed to, but nope. It's not going to be a setup sweeper. It's going to be Dugtrio, which should free kill the Magneton, but the tables are going to get turned on him here. Magneton going to eat Salac Berry, now maybe faster than Dugtrio, and he's going to get out of the way. Hidden Power potentially could have killed Dugtrio there. Roro not going to allow it. He's going to run away, and Pursuit doing pathetic damage to Magneton, but he's going to be at 1 HP. So even though it's going to do next to nothing, all it has to do is 1 single point of damage. It can at least do that. And Magneton is going to die after getting a Thunderbolt off on the Umbreon. It's going to be very low. It's going to be at 13% right now and still poisoned. So Umbreon not doing so hot. but he is still among the living, and ABR is going to have to figure out what he wants to do, knowing that there is a Zapdos and a Dugtrio on the other side. We know there's BP here as well, so if Roro does go back to Zapdos against whatever it is ABR brings out, he could just BP to the Dugtrio or whatever else may be in the back at any time. So ABR has to proceed cautiously here. He certainly can't go to the Metagross because after he kills the Umbreon, he's just going to be insta-killed by the Dugtrio. That's obviously not something he's going to allow, so he's considering his options here. And other Pokemon, if he had like a Celebi or a T-Tar, they might have a similar problem here. After the Umbreon dies, it's just going to be immediately met with this 100% Dugtrio. So ABR has to proceed with that in mind. I think a safe play would be a Claydol if this is a Magdoll team, or a Salamence if this is just strictly physical offense, but something that doesn't get absolutely blown out by the Dugtrio. And I certainly wouldn't want to gamble if I'm ABR on the nature of the Dugtrio. I wouldn't bring in something that's safe against a Jolly Dugtrio but might be boned if it's adamant. What if it just is adamant? I don't think you want to take that gamble. So I like this play for ABR. He thought about it for over a minute, but he opts to go to Claydol here. That should be fine. Claydol does not care about Dugtrio. Now, Roro does not necessarily have to allow the Umbreon to just stay in here and die to what is probably just an Earthquake from Claydol. He could go for, I mean, yeah, at this point, the poison will kill the Umbreon if he stays in one way or another. So I guess it doesn't have to be Earthquake. He did have an opportunity there to go for Psychic. The Earthquake, yeah, I don't know. Because like I said, the Umbreon would have just died no matter what it did. I guess playing around Moonlight, maybe. The Umbreon didn't actually show a recovery move, and it probably didn't have Wish because it didn't have Protect, so maybe the Earthquake was to not let it Moonlight there. But Roro is going to keep in his Zapdos there, 100% in fact, over-predict Thunderbolt and get blown up on with Explosion. This I don't like at all from ABR. He's going to walk the Metagross directly into the Dugtrio that he already knew was there. That makes me wonder why he didn't just go to the Gyarados initially, unless he's viewing this as a free turn for a DD. But I mean, arguably it would have been anyway, right? Like, if the Gyarados had been on the Dugtrio right from the gate, don't you just DD anyway? But ABR made this decision for a reason. I don't think I like letting the Metagross go there, but he's going to set this up where he gets a substitute off. Maybe this was the plan all along. He's going to try to win with the Gyra. Roro doesn't seem to have a great switch right now. Anything that he switches in out of the three that he's revealed would die in this situation to just an Earthquake. We don't know the last, however, from Roro. And of course, just as importantly, we don't know the last for ABR either. But the Gyarados does have a chance to sweep here. The best counter in the game for Gyarados is largely considered to be Zapdos, which Roro did have. But he over-predicted, left it in to get blown up on by Claydol. We'll see where that leaves us. Generally, Gyarados has a very good matchup against Coon. It could randomly be an HP Electric Coon. It could have Roar that he doesn't play around with Taunt, blah, blah, blah. But there are a lot of things here where generally Gyarados wins this matchup. And he's going aggro here. He gets a crit. There's an Ice Beam, so it's a double crit. And it's going to leave us with Tyranitar as the only poke for ABR. Immediately met by Dugtrio. And that's actually going to be 3 crits in a row between these players. It's going to be a crit Hidden Power, then a crit Ice Beam, then a crit Earthquake. So 3 crits in a row is going to close this out. I would say ABR the unluckier one there because realistically the Gyra should have simply swept the game. If he doesn't get crit, it would easily proceed to sweep up the T-Tar and the Dugtrio here. So I think ABR had a good shot to win this, but they are chit-chatting about the game right here. These guys, like I said, friendly rivals, know each other, respect each other, all that. All the shoulda, woulda, coulda is good. You guys can tell me in the comments what you think should have happened there. I'm not the world's most analytical narrator, as you guys know. Kind of more of a hype and play-by-play guy, so I don't necessarily want to break down EVs and calcs and all that good stuff. There's just not enough time, especially when I'm narrating live. But Roro's going to take game 1. It is a best of 3. There will be best of 5s later in the tour, as you guys know if you follow the tour in the past, but it is a best of 3 right now. and ABR is going to have to rally off 2 in a row to take out Roro. Now remember, this is winner's bracket, so whoever loses here, they're not out of the tournament. They simply get knocked down into the shark-infested lower bracket, which right now has Asta, Lanier, Tama, PDC is in it. It's loaded right now. It's a scary place to be. I would not want to get knocked down into the lower bracket. Lower bracket arguably is stronger than the upper bracket, but that's the nature of the beast, and it's a massive, massive advantage to stay in the winner bracket here. Not only because the lower bracket is just so ridiculously stacked, but also because the upper bracket doesn't have to play next round, so they could just sit there and do whatever they want to do, take a tropical vacation, come back in a week, while some of the really good players eliminate each other. So you have a much, much better chance to win the tour by not losing here. Go figure. So we're just waiting for game 2. I'm going to try to do it all in one video. Hopefully there is not a significant delay here. That's one of the things that blows about narrating live. Sometimes right after game 1, they play game 2 immediately. Sometimes there's 10 minutes in between. And here I am trying to kill the time. In real time, I don't know if it's going to appear this way on YouTube because I'm waiting on other people, as seems to always be the case, but in real time, this is the very last match of this round. So, yeah, I mean, once this is over, I can draw and pull some pairings, and we can move on to the next round. We already know the full winner and loser at lower bracket, other than this match. And like I said, one of these guys is going to have to play again next week in a very, very strong lower bracket, and one of these guys is going to get the week off. The other guys in the upper bracket, and certainly skip a minute ahead in this video if you don't want the spoilers, but the upper bracket is going to be comprised of Undisputed, Ban Manaphy, H-Clat, and the winner here. And then, of course, there's going to be 8 guys in the lower bracket. Just waiting on them to begin game 2. Should be any moment. Smogon Tour is pretty lively at the moment. Multiple other matches going on that we could, I guess, hop in just to kill that in between time if we wanted to. There's Eden against Phi Wings 99. Never heard of them. Could be an alt, but they're playing. There's also Walrus Cove against D. Lucas in Gen 3. Don't know those guys either. Just check, make sure there's not a big delay here. Just chit-chatting, blah, blah. I'm going to tell them to speed up. There we go. See, they listened. Here we are. Here is game 2 of Roro and ABR. Let me just go ahead and switch sides. And remembering that Roro did win that game 1 here that we just finished watching. So 1-0 for Roro, 2 in a row going to be necessary for ABR. Here is the second game, a Selby lead and a Zapdos lead respectively. Lead Selby almost universally is some kind of baton passer. Whether he's passing sub, whether he's passing Calm Mind, whether he's passing Swords Dance, whether he's passing into Double Trapper, it's going to have baton pass. It's just the way it is. And he's going to go Hidden Power here into Zapdos. Not sure what he was trying to catch, but here's the BP with 1 boost. And it's going to be to Gengar. Now it's 1 boost for the Lax as well. There's a Curse. There's the Gengar with the Calm Mind boost. Seems fair, and by that I mean seems massively advantageous for the Lax. Yeah, I mean, Lax definitely wins the 1v1 here. If he goes for Shadow Ball, it's going to level the Gengar here. In fact, it might kill him, depending on the Gengar EVs. And then even if the Gengar were to go for Boom, I don't know that Explosion plus Dugtrio actually even kills Lax here because of the defensive part of the Curse boost. So this seems kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't for ABR. I almost wonder if he goes back to Celebi. We haven't actually seen Leech Seed on it, but it could be last move Leech Seed. That would mean that he doesn't have a recovery move if that's the case. So I'm kind of thinking maybe the Celebi doesn't have Leech Seed. ABR is going to have to, I mean, we're only 4 turns in. It feels like he already kind of has a problem that he has to deal with here. Not saying the game's over by any means, but the Lax seems like a legitimate threat here. Going to go for the Desperation Will-O-Wisp. Going to miss and going to get Shadow Balled, and that is not the way that ABR wanted to start this. 75-25 Will-O-Wisp does not cooperate. Gengar goes down. And Roro, who won Game 1, gets a free kill on turn 4 of Game 2. ABR not going to like that. Now, ABR he was a third place finisher last year, made some cash money in this tour. Roro has played in 2 of these out of the 3 up to this point, so this is his third one out of 4. He has not made money yet in this tour, but we all know that he's one of the very best ADV players. He was the ADV Cup champion, I believe, not this most recent time, but the year before, among a plethora of other accomplishments, and I don't think anybody would be surprised if this were his year or if in any given year he made a deep run. But ABR is ridiculously desperate here. His answer to this lax is to Ice Beam Freeze Fish. 2 Ice Beams later, the freeze doesn't come, and ABR is looking like he's about to get swept by a +1 lax. This is a beating. Lax, obviously a Pokemon that ABR, with what seems to be a Combine spam team, did not want to see, and he is getting absolutely demolished here. As it turns out, that Will-O-Wisp miss was a hell of a lot worse than just setting him back. Looks like it may have lost him the game. It looks like ABR needed to hit that Will-O-Wisp to not get absolutely dunked on by this lax. This might end up being the fastest, most one-sided game of the tour. Never mind being fully set up or anything close to it. All Roro had to do was click curse once on his lax, and ABR cannot deal with it. This is a perfect example of why some people really dislike the Combine spam archetype, because it has matchups like this where it just gets absolutely dunked on, and that is what we're seeing here. This lax, very basic lax, nothing techie, nothing weird, just a curse lax, absolutely single-handedly demolishing ABR here. And the options are already really, really limited for him. ABR basically has to have a setup sweeper in the back and then just get there. Has to be a DD Tar or a DD Mence or whatever. He needs to just set up the DD and just win. That's the only play. ABR, with only 2 Pokemon remaining, has lost almost his entire team to this lax here. And, I mean, imagine if this lax has rest. He could just lose to only the lax. Roro might win this game with 1 boost without showing 4 Pokemon on his team. What a disaster for ABR. Absolutely nothing going his way. Finally, Roro, maybe didn't even need to, goes to a different poke here, shows meta, last move's HP Fire, Celebi's gone to a Boom. What's your last poke, ABR? It's Raikou, and that is not going to beat a Claydol anytime soon. He survives Earthquake, an immediate critical hit right here, right now, going to be necessary or we're done. Crit doesn't come, and that is that. 19 turns, 5-0. 2 unrevealed, a complete smashing. Roro utterly dominating ABR in this game. ABR takes it with grace and says GG's, but that was a beating. That one never in doubt, not even close. First game may or may not have been. In fact, in this first game, I think ABR probably should have won with the Gyarados, but an untimely crit was his undoing. Fine and well, but man, was this one ugly. We now have our full upper and lower bracket, very strong brackets in both cases, but the upper bracket is going to be Roro, Undisputed, Ban Manaphy, and H-Clat. ABR is going to have to play more ADV next week. He gets knocked down into the lower bracket, which is absolutely loaded and not where anybody wants to be. And like I said, in real time, this is the final match of the round, but it will probably not appear that way on YouTube because I'm waiting on other people with their narrations. So, hope you guys enjoyed this set. This second game was certainly not the most competitive game of the tour, but that's the way Pokemon goes sometimes. I would still really appreciate it if you've been enjoying the tournament as a whole. If you would give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, all that good stuff. Please... Man, right at the very end I'm screwing it up. This is a good narration up until the very end. What I wanted to say was please subscribe if you've not done so already. I really appreciate it. It helps me, and I really don't have all that many subs. Alrighty, thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next video.